Yo, we out here, man. You already know, man. Business is booming, always booming, man. We got a listing the other day, man, and we got a haircut. Back to life, as you can see. I'm gonna put my hoodie down because it's raining. But I just want to get my little 2 cents on the housing market right now, man. I've been watching some stuff. I've been reading some stuff online and whatnot. And I just came across a few videos the other day. So there's a few things that I saw that might indicate some shift in the housing market potentially. So, well, first of all, the Fed had their minutes. So the Fed is pretty much the central bank of, well, not pretty much, they are the central bank. They're pretty much the government piggy bank. Let me just say that they're the government piggy bank, pretty much. So they raised their interest rate on Tuesday afternoon. So what that means in plain English is their rates, what they charge the banks to print the money and give it to them, they raised it. And the federal funds rate also, what that is as well, is like they're requiring the banks to have more money in reserve. So that means the bank's bills just went up. It's more expensive for the bank to borrow money from the Fed or have the Fed to print money for them. And now the bank's costs just went up. So being business, when your costs go up, you're gonna raise prices because you don't want to eat that bullet. So you're gonna pass that on to the customers. So with banks lending money, they make money by rates, their interest rates, and charging an interest rate on their money that they lend you. So they're gonna raise their rates, credit card rates, mortgage rates. And if you have a fixed rate mortgage, you're good. Nothing's going to happen to you. If you have an adjustable rate mortgage, whenever it resets, if you have a, 3-4% interest rate right now, don't be surprised if in the next year or so you have a 5-6.5% interest rate in the future. So that's, things like that are going to happen. New people who are applying for mortgages right now, maybe, your friend last year or 2 years ago had a 4% interest rate. What the hell? That squirrel just jumped over my head. But yeah, so like last year, 2 years ago, your friend maybe got a 4% interest rate, and now you're looking for a house and nobody's offering you anything less than 6 or 6.5. That's what happens when the Fed raises their rates. The mortgages or, mortgage companies and banks tend to raise their rates as well to cover that cost and whatnot. And with rates rising and, with the debt that we have in America and whatnot, that typically tends to push us in a recession. We're likely in a recession with the economy already contracting. There was actually the CPI report, I think a week ago or 2 weeks ago, showed that we contracted already once this quarter. And when you contract 2 quarters in a row, you're officially in a recession. So we probably are already in a recession, just not officially yet. But we'll see later. But that's pretty much what it is. So with that happening, with rates rising, that makes housing really unaffordable, like, already more than what it is right now. So buyers just will absolutely not be able to pay that. And, with economics happening, supply demand, it's going to slow down the demand right now. There's, reports that I read and watched that mortgage applications are slowing down. So, buyers are finally getting fatigued. They're finally at their breaking point where they can't afford, to buy that, $200,000 house at a 6% interest rate. Maybe they could do it at 4 or 3, but they can't do it at 6. It's too expensive, and they're not making enough money, or they don't have enough assets to cover that or whatnot. So they have to sit on the sidelines and continue to rent, which also, by the way, that's why rental prices are going up. It's not necessarily landlords being greedy per se. It's just supply and demand. It's not, it is what it is. When there's 100 people coming in an apartment, he's going to raise the rent and give it to the highest bidder. But anywho, so with that happening, the prices are going to have to come down a little bit. And also that's going to hurt sellers because, now there's a slowdown in buyer demand. So now houses aren't going to sell in, 2-3 days. Now they're going to be on the market for, kind of normal time, 3, 4, 5 weeks, which was kind of normal. They're not going to sell in 33 seconds with 10 offers over asking. None of that's going to happen. In fact, I think when the market shifts, whether it's late this year, next year, or something like that, depending on how many more times the Fed raises rates, because they're going to meet a couple more times this year. I think 3 or 4 more times, maybe 5. I don't know exactly, but they're going to meet more times. And most people, most of these Wall Street guys, these economists and stuff that I listen to, most of them feel they're going to continue to raise rates a few more times this year. I don't know exactly what it's at, somewhere between 1% and 2%, I think. I don't know exactly where it's at, but I should know that, but it's somewhere in between 1% and 2%, I think. So with rates going to continue rising, more and more buyers are going to be priced out, and they're going to have to sit on the sidelines, which is bad and good. Good in the sense that the market is going to kind of mellow out and kind of even out, and more people will be able to catch up eventually, maybe. But bad also because we're most likely going to enter a recession, and when we enter a recession, I don't want to say certainly, but it's almost certainly that we're going to enter a recession, whether it's this year or next year. And if and whenever that happens, more people, businesses are gonna evaporate, which means people are gonna get laid off, and maybe some people. And what I fear is that some people that bought houses, between maybe late 2019, 2020, up to maybe even now, really, if they were, and more in particular, the FHA buyers, like the FHA buyers and stuff, people that barely put any money down, I feel like those people might get caught in a bind if the recession catches them in a bad place and they lose their job. If they were pre-approved by the skin of their teeth, and they lose their job, or they have to take a pay cut or get laid off, whatever happens, and they can't make their mortgage payment, they may be in a foreclosure situation. And as of right now, there's no more mortgage forbearance and whatnot, so they're moving forward with foreclosures and stuff like that. I kind of fear that. So, that's bad because people are going to lose their houses, but good at the same time that there's going to be more inventory, so there's going to be more houses to buy at cheaper prices. So even with rates rising, when prices fall, that's still going to be good because it's still going to kind of make up the difference, or maybe even be cheaper, even with the higher rate. So that will ultimately, in my opinion, be good, but bad in the short term. So we don't know what the Fed is going to do, because some people are saying that the recession is going to be bad and we're going to see a major shift or a crash. But I don't necessarily know about that, because if we're in a recession, maybe the Fed will drop rates and housing prices will go right back up again. Mortgage rates will go back down and demand will come back up, and then prices will go right back up. So that could happen. You never know. Or the Fed will continue to raise rates to stop inflation, because that's why they're raising rates, to stop inflation or slow it down. So they may continue to raise rates, and mortgage rates will continue to rise, and prices will continue to come down, because home buyers won't be able to pay $200,000. They can only pay $175,000. And with that, I think also, well, I guess that's mostly the situation on the buyer side. Investors as well. I fear some investors who are doing major flip projects, they might get caught in a bind, with all this supply chain issues and the economy. Maybe you're in mid-flip thinking you're going to get 200,000 ARV, and now the market shifts, and now you can only sell it for 150, and you're going to be underwater. So flippers, beware as well. I'll tell you, tread carefully as well. Maybe you're a brand new investor and you come in and you don't really know what you're doing, and now you're underwater and you're not even cash flowing on the property. So all those things could potentially happen as well. So everybody just has to tread carefully. Somebody who needs to sell the property as well. Maybe they absolutely have to sell the property, and now they're barely underwater. Maybe they refinanced, within the last couple of years. So I'm afraid of the people that refinanced and purchased within the last 2-3 years, FHA buyers and whatnot, because you never know. And when the market shifts, you may not be able to get that equity back that you refinance, and then they could be underwater as well. So that could happen. That could, like, worst case scenario, that could happen. But I think a decent amount of that is going to be what adds the inventory to the market. So that's kind of like on the buyer, seller, investor side. On the realtor side, you know, when all that stuff happens, that's going to affect realtors because now, I mean, if you were a realtor within, you know, I'm just going to be honest, if you were an agent, man, within the last 2, 3 years, 4 years, even 5 years, really, you know, you were really eating, you know, from COVID, really, like maybe like 2019, especially from up to this point, you were eating, you like, it was so easy. Like it was so, like if you got a listing, you didn't have to do anything. Like you didn't have to do anything. You put that thing in the MLS, it's gone. You have like 10 offers already. That's not going to happen anymore. So now when the market shifts, now you can't just put the house in the MLS and put whatever and just throw darts at the wall and come up with whatever price you want. You actually have to know how to price a property. You actually have to be, you know, know how to negotiate and whatnot. You actually have to understand where the market is going and advise your sellers correctly. So, you know, buyers, sellers, investors, make sure you have a good realtor, not just somebody who wants a commission. You know, you have to make sure that you understand where the market is going so you could properly advise your buyers and sellers where it's going. I mean, it's good for buyers agents because now you don't have to run into 10 houses and make offers on all of them and lose. You know, so buyers agents are going to be more relieved. And I think a lot of listing agents that are doing well right now, they're going to find out that it's hard to get listings when the market you know, starts to mellow out because they don't prospect. You know, maybe they get one listing or two listings and, you know, they just kind of snowball from there because people are calling them from listing, and then they go and get listings and, you know, get deals that way. It's not going to be that easy anymore. So I think a lot of those agents are either going to be out of the business altogether because the same thing happened when the market crashed in '08. There was like 1 million agents or something like that. So when the market crashed, there was like a little under 1 million. I think there's like 1.5, 1.6 right now. When we get a market shift, we're probably going to have like 1.3 when it's done, maybe 1.2, something like that. Like there's agents are going to be gone because they're going to find it hard. I mean, with the failure rate being high already as it is. And a lot of top listing agents right now are going to be more primarily working with buyers because getting listings, I think they're going to be easier, but they're not going to sell as fast. So you're not going to make the money as fast. So you'll have to be working with buyers more often. That's what I think is going to happen. So unfortunately, I fear some agents are going to be out of the business. You know, when the recession happens, businesses, you know, like I said, they go out of business, and that includes realtors, unfortunately. Not me though, because, you know, I'm always working, you know, business is booming, but that's what it is, you know. So that's kind of my 2 cents on the market right now. I just kind of saw some things, and I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't let y'all know. So appreciate y'all, man. I'm gonna talk to y'all again.